All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in our podcast here in Anchored, and we are excited to talk about faith, family, and finance. And today's episode, guys, we will be looking at the real estate sector here in the Philippines because as we start the year, we are looking at different industries and how it will help in our economy. And today we have a very special guest. He's a good friend of mine from the real estate sector. And to introduce him, he's a senior manager at Colliers International Philippines. He covers office, residential, retail, leisure, and industrial segments. He conducts macroeconomic analysis and regularly assess the impact of economic growth to the real estate sector. He handles client engagement through market overview presentations to equity analysts, property investors, and real estate firms. His reports have been featured on national news. By the way, guys, bigatin tong guest natin ngayon, such as sa CNN Philippines, Market Edge with Cathy Yang, ANC, Bloomberg Philippines, and BusinessWorld Live. And even in international and national dailies such as the Philippine Daily Inquirer, Philippine Star, Malaya, BusinessWorld, Wall Street Journal, South China Morning Post, Bloomberg, and Nikkei Asia. He is regularly invited as a resource speaker by real estate platforms and industry groups. Joey writes a regular column for the Philippine Daily Inquirer. So it's a privilege for this afternoon, guys, na makasama natin. He's a very good friend of mine, and I've been reading his article since I became part of the real estate sector. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Joey Bondoc. Hi, Joey.
Hi, Carlo. Good afternoon. Good afternoon also to your subscribers and the listeners.
Yeah, thank you again for your time, Joey. And right now, as we look at the real estate sector, we observed that last year, Joey, it's quite challenging, but we saw that the real estate is still growing. And as we can see right now, as we start 2021, we are all optimistic on how it will help in boosting our economy. And of course, Joey, I just have few questions for you because it can help our viewers from the real estate industry. Maybe some of them are asking you right now what will be the trend or what will be the outlook. And of course, we observe that due to the work from home setups, many employees move out of Manila. But
That's right.
right now, since the economy is slowly opening and the companies are starting again their operations since maybe third, fourth quarter last year, what do you think will be its effect in the current rental rates for the residential properties in NCR? Do we expect another rate for different areas in the Metro Manila areas? So, what are your thoughts about the rental rates because of the move out of employees in the metro?
Well, Carlo, let me start with the rental rates. Now, for example, if you talk
Yeah.
about office buildings all over Metro Manila, so we can't deny the fact that office buildings, the office market in general, has been affected by the pandemic. You
Okay.
mentioned earlier a lot of companies had to implement work from home
Yeah.
schemes. So, prior to the pandemic, if you look at BPOs, call centers, no, only about 5 to 10% of these companies would work from home.
Mm-hmm.
But according to IBPAP,
Yeah.
when the uh, pandemic started to affect and disrupt business operations here in Metro Manila, the percentage of BPOs or call centers that started to implement the work from home strategies really increased. So I think about 50-60% of these call centers now implement work from home. Of course, we have to note also that not all BPO companies can implement work from home because some of them they really need redundant, stable internet connection. A lot of these BPO companies need to protect the proprietary,
Yeah.
confidential financial information. So they really have to be in their usual office buildings to
Yeah.
protect all these vital personal information, credit card information, for
Mm-hmm.
example. So, but even with that strategy, a lot of companies implemented work from home scheme, as I
Yeah.
mentioned earlier. So, about 50-60% of these companies are already implementing this. And a lot of companies are um, implementing a mixed strategy. So when you say mixed strategy, kung dati puro lang nasa office yan, ngayon
Yeah.
meron na nagtatrabaho sa bahay. No? So the companies provide, for example, mobile internet, broadband connection, laptops, and the if you look at the basics of economics, it's a
Yeah.
supply and demand play, right? So
Yeah.
if the demand is low or slower and you
Yeah.
still have a stable supply of office buildings, because you cannot just tear down your office building if you don't have any renter, right? So that has been resulting in a correction or
Yeah.
lower or a drop in office lease rates across Metro Manila. So that's what we have been seeing so far. But interestingly, Carlo, there are companies that have been looking for office spaces outside of Metro Manila.
Wow,
So
that's
what they
great.
do now is they want to decentralize. Number one,
Mm-hmm.
because if another epidemic or pandemic strikes Metro Manila, and
Mm-hmm.
they are Metro Manila centric, meaning all the operations are focused in Metro Manila, then
Yeah.
that will have a significant impact on their operations. Imagine a call center being unable to operate in one day. That will result in tremendous financial losses. So
Yeah.
what they do now is they decentralize. So they look for other sites outside of Metro Manila. They diversify.
Mm-hmm.
Just so when another pandemic hits Metro Manila, there are other locations where they can operate. But not only that, Carlo, mga
Yeah.
companies ngayon tinitingnan na rin nila yung location ng mga employees, no? So
Yeah.
for example, there are BPO companies or even non-BPO, no, mga large
Mm-hmm.
traditional Filipino companies or even multinational corporations. Saan ba nakatira yung mga
Yeah.
employees nila? And doon sila naghahanap ng office space. So we have received a few queries, no,
Mm-hmm.
from large companies, and they're looking at the viability of opening
Right.
office spaces in Central Luzon, Southern Luzon. So these are
Wow.
very interesting trends that we are now seeing in the market, and these are
Mm-hmm.
trends that weren't part of the norm, right?
Yeah.
When before the COVID-19 pandemic, pre-pandemic period, but now we're seeing this trend, and our belief is that these trends will be for the long haul, meaning they
Mm-hmm.
won't just be queries for the next 3 to 6 months, but they
Mm-hmm.
will really be part of the real estate strategies of companies that are occupying office space. So it's now a mix,
Mm-hmm.
not just in terms of work from home and traditional office space, but also a mix of presence within Metro Manila and outside of Metro Manila.
Wow, those are very exciting insights, Joey. Since
Yeah.
knowing that there will be diversification of office spaces, it's very exciting
Yep.
to see the spread of development, especially right now. I'm seeing a lot here in Region 3 and, of course, in the Southern
That's
Luzon
right.
area. And the good thing about this, since we're looking at a hybrid setup when it comes to office work and working from home for other employees, we can see that the developments also of the infrastructures will play a big role, since
That's
right
right.
now we heard from the news that the Skyway Stage 3 is now
Yeah.
operational partly, right? So,
Yeah, that's a very exciting project, Carlo, because just last Sunday I tried that, no, yung Skyway 3. So from
mhm,
Pampanga, this is from Pampanga all the way to Makati.
mhm.
So my travel time was only about an hour and a half.
Wow,
Imagine that, diba?
that's great.
So if you pass through EDSA, baka EDSA pa lang. More than 1 hour and a half, baka two
Yeah.
hours na. No? So this is a very interesting project, a very exciting project, not just for those living in northern central
Hmm.
Luzon, but also
Yeah.
for residents in southern part of Luzon.
Yeah. And looking at the residential rates in the metro for millennials like me, and for those who are planning to start their family and they want to buy their houses or condominiums, if they want to at least invest with a cheaper price, they can start investing in developing areas like the Region 3 and the Southern Luzon area, because of course the rates are lower, and yet we can see that developments are really coming in. So sooner or later this will be a good place to live. And of course, if the travel time, like what you mentioned, from Pampanga to the metro
Ate.
will be 1.5 hours, wow,
Yeah.
that's so exciting.
Yeah, really, really interesting. And you're correct. I think the trend now is that a lot of investors, first time
Mhm.
millennial investors, they're now looking at investing in properties, northern,
Yeah.
central, southern Luzon. In fact, previously, I think that the trend really is very strong demand for house and
Mhm.
lot only projects in the southern Luzon. Of course,
Yeah.
because you have the infrastructure network in southern Luzon really upgraded, and I would say much better, okay, compared to say northern central
Mhm.
Luzon. But because of the recent completion of a lot of projects gravitating towards northern and central Luzon, we now see a greater interest for projects
Mhm.
northern and central Luzon area. So I think these are very good,
Yeah.
vital allocations for future investment. And investors, whether you're a young investor or you're just starting your own family or you're a veteran already in terms
Yeah.
of investing in properties, I think these are locations that you really need to watch out for. I mean, the likes of Pampanga,
Mhm.
Bulacan, Tarlac, these are very exciting locations. And anecdotally, I've
Mhm.
heard a number of house and lot
Mhm.
projects in Tarlac
Yeah.
and in Pampanga that are doing very well,
Yeah.
and they're receiving queries and are getting a pretty good demand from a mix of investors. So those working in Metro Manila, OFWs, or even from those areas. No? So
Yeah.
it's really a mix of demand that we're seeing in the market at this point. And again, that demand has partly been facilitated by
Mhm.
the development of all these crucial infrastructure projects.
Yeah, those things are very excited because for the longest time we are really looking forward for this kind of development, so that the Metro Manila will be decongested, and so we will enjoy fresh air as well for those who
That's
have
correct.
businesses who are planning to move out in the metro for the meantime. This will be a good opportunity for them. And speaking of business, Joey, I've seen that a lot of entrepreneurs and companies shifted to online shopping and deliveries
That's
for
right.
their products due to social distancing measures. What do you think small or medium-sized developers should do? Should they expand in warehousing and logistics as well, considering that the demand for warehouse will increase because of this online shopping and deliveries demand of our consumers?
Definitely. But I think, Carla, what's also important to point out is
Mm-hmm.
the fact that a lot of investors, a lot of retailers have
Okay.
been complementing their brick and mortar presence with the
Mm-hmm.
online shopping platforms. So it's a mix of offline and online strategies.
Okay.
Because, in fact, during the pandemic, of course, we can't deny the fact that a lot of Filipino consumers had to
Mm-hmm.
stay at home and had to do their shopping from the comforts of their home. No? So maraming Pilipino yung natuto how to
Yeah.
do online shopping or
Mm-hmm.
mga pabili services. And we see this strategy, we see this trend dominating again for the long haul. It's not
Yeah.
something that we will just see for the next 3 to 6 months or for the
Right.
short term. So at Colliers, we always say that
Mm-hmm.
retailers or mall developers need to innovate,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise they will
Yeah.
evaporate. So part of
Mm-hmm.
that innovation strategy is to have a strong tie-up with the operators of,
Yeah.
for example, mga delivery services, logistics companies. In fact, one trend that we are already seeing, Carlo, in the
Mm-hmm.
market is mall operators, mall
Okay.
developers,
Mm-hmm.
because they're seeing higher vacancies within their malls. What they're doing now is that they are looking at the viability of using these vacant mall spaces into micro warehouses. So they're
Oh,
pivoting to what the
yeah.
market needs at this point. And that one of the demands at this point is the development of micro warehouses, fulfillment centers within
Okay.
Metro Manila, within malls in Metro Manila, because Metro Manila mall goers, as we know, have really shifted to online shopping, and this has resulted in a greater demand for logistics delivery services. So, for a lot of mall operators and retailers to reach their customers
Okay.
and to target a bigger base within Metro Manila, that's what they
Mm-hmm.
have been doing in Metro Manila. So they've been uh, converting, repurposing their
Okay.
assets. In fact, Carlo, one of
Yeah.
the strategies that property developers need to implement moving forward is the conversion and repurposing of their assets. And one strategy is yun nga, no, yung
Mm-hmm.
pag-redevelop
Yeah.
or convert
Mm-hmm.
nung mga assets nila na naapektuhan ng pandemic and pivot to
Yeah.
what the market demands at this point. And
Mm-hmm.
again, that is again being served by this this conversion or
Mm-hmm.
repurposing, and that
Yeah.
is the conversion of these vacant mall spaces into
Mm-hmm.
micro warehouses, because there's just a greater demand for logistics. So that is
Mm-hmm.
one demand that developers have been tapping in the market.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you mentioned. And I believe for most business owners, pivoting and innovation will play a crucial role
Oh,
since
definitely.
we need to adapt since this pandemic really gave us a lot of opportunities as well. Looking on the brighter side of things, I think technology paved the way so that we can at least maximize still the profits that we can get for our businesses. And yeah, definitely for our listeners and viewers who are in the real estate sector, let's take note of what Joy mentioned for pivoting, innovation, repurposing our assets because there will be new opportunities that will come like this one, like the online shopping. And I've seen that buyers can shop really at the comfort of their home. Kahit kami
Mm,
ng asawa ko minsan, instead of going to the mall, titingin na lang kami sa online platforms, ano ba yung pwede namin bilhin. And yeah, that's the thing that our landlords should also consider. Maybe a mixture of their setup in their malls, maybe since before maraming mga retail stores, maybe some of it can be converted to restaurants and like what you mentioned, micro warehouses.
exactly.
And Joey, for the other sector, like the residential side,
Mm,
for Gen Zs or millennials who are starting to build their career and funds, going back, like kanina na pag-usapan natin, di ba, maraming developments outside the metro. And kasi like ako din, kapag nagsisimula ng family, gusto mo makabili ng property, maybe
mm,
condominium for
yeah,
working professionals kasi gusto mo near your workplace.
yeah.
But I just want to ask Joey, what are your tips for those who are just starting in real estate investing? Which is better? Is it good to start through the REITs or the real estate investment trust, or they should they go right away for residential properties? What are your take about this?
But
Yeah.
it really depends on your liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're awash with cash, if you're looking at investing in, you know, hard property assets, no, so of course it only makes sense to invest in uh, in a condominium unit or house and lot, and then look at the leasing prospect, no? Of course, if
Mm-hmm.
that's condominium, may magre-rent ba niyan, no?
Yes.
Saan located yung condominium unit? If you want to invest in a house and lot, no, siguro ito a investment because you're an end user. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
want
Yeah.
to eventually um, build
Mm-hmm.
your own family, no, and then you'll have your child, you have your second, third child, and you have your wife or your husband living together in your much in your investment, which is a house and lot.
Mm-hmm.
Or if that's a lot only project, will you able to resell that eventually, and then of course make a profit based on how much that lot only unit has increased, and how its value increased over the past few years. So it's really it really depends on your profile as an investor. Are you awash with cash? How risk averse are you? Are you sensitive to the spikes in mortgage rates and interest rates? And what are your medium term, long term goals? No, so gusto mo ba na magkaroon ng passive income? So will you be able to lease that out in the future? Or if you're not in need of a passive income now and
Mm-hmm.
all you want is to for example, bank on the capital appreciation or price appreciation potential of the property, then perhaps a
Yeah.
lot only project unit uh, really suits you, no, better compared to other investment options in the market, condo
Mm-hmm.
or REIT. No? So it's really a mix of strategies that you really have to implement. Again, it
Yeah.
depends on the flow of money, on liquidity, and how averse you are in terms of the risks that you see in the market.
Yeah, I can't agree more with what you mentioned. It's very important for our listeners and viewers to first assess your current situation. Like what
Yep.
Joey mentioned, are you going to be an investor for this property, or are you going to be an end user? So that will affect your decision. And it's very fruitful to have you here, Joey, and hopefully sa next episodes ma-invite ko ulit namin, and we
Yeah.
are very glad to hear your valuable insights. I've been following Joey's insights. Grabe, sobrang ganda ng mga insights nila sa Colliers. And siguro, Joey, can you invite our audiences for your upcoming events in Colliers? Yeah, you can share
Yeah,
ano yung mga pwede naming tune in. Yeah.
just a few things we can share at Colliers. So,
Mhm.
Colliers Philippines is very active on social media. So you may follow our
Yeah.
Facebook. We have Twitter. We have LinkedIn, Instagram. We also
Mhm.
have a YouTube account where you
Okay.
can see our vlogs and other videos and previous interviews. And we also check our website, of course, colliers.com. And as Carlo mentioned earlier, I also write for the Philippine Daily Inquirer,
Mhm.
and it comes out every other Sunday. Every other Saturday. So that is a bi-weekly column in the property section of Philippine Daily Inquirer. So I encourage you to check it out, the online version or the printed copy. So again, if you want to learn more about property and look at our data backed or data supported insights and recommendations, please feel free to follow Colliers Philippines on social media.
Yeah, all right, guys. So thank you again, Joey, for your
Thanks,
valuable
Carlo.
insights. And to our listeners and viewers, thank you for investing your time with us. We hope to see you in our next episode. And always remember, stay anchored, guys. Bye. See you again.